you ever wanted a practical way to use programming at home? Or perhaps a tangible way to get students involved with programming and the physical world? The Bytes of Pi Christmas Tree project is a good way to get your programming students engaged with the practical application. The tree can be controlled using Java or Python through a Raspberry Pi. The following series of videos is meant to help educators and students use software development in the real world. Here is the less glamorous part of the project where I list out all the ingredients, all the different materials you'll need to get, and kind of break it down as far as cost, total cost. Starting off, you'll need a Raspberry Pi 3B. Now, in my project, I luckily got a Raspberry Pi from a conference, so I didn't have to pay this cost, but regardless, it's fairly cheap. It's $29.99, $30. You'll also want to purchase an 8-channel DC5 relay. Now, in my project, you'll see in the videos, I don't use a regular relay. I use a solid-state relay because essentially, when you turn each relay on and off for this regular relay, it's a physical relay, so you'll hear click. So every time you turn a light on or off, you'll hear massive clicks. Especially if you're turning on a lot of lights on and off, you'll hear a whole bunch of clicks. But if you want to save yourself $10, this is the way to go. I purchased on Amazon, an online web store. You can purchase these. You can also go to an electronics store for jumper wires. Essentially, they're for Raspberry Pi or Arduino jumper wires. I bought a pack of 120. It's about $7.99. Not too bad. But really, all in this project, all we need is the male to female wires. Essentially, it's this one in the middle where I have ends sticking out, and then I have places we'll need to stick in. This side will join to the Raspberry Pi. This side will go into your switch. You'll need at least 15-foot 3-wire, 12-gauge wire. Now, we really only need like 11 or 12 foot, but they sell in packs of 15. You can make sure that when you purchase it, you don't purchase a single roll because that'll be cheaper, but it'll only be a single roll of wire and not 3 wires. You're going to need your black, green, and white wire or hot, neutral, and ground wires inside, and you'll be cutting these open. If you want to purchase them separately, you can. If you don't care about the colors, not a good safety tip for electronics, but it's also doable. But you'll definitely want to get 12-gauge wire. If you get 14-gauge wire, it's a little more risky what you can hook into the box, because the more amperage and volts you draw, the more this wire is 14-gauge wire is to burn, and you don't want a fire in your box. Another one is a 4-gang box. Where again, this project is only going to do 8 outlets, but you can, if you want to double up, you can actually get 16. I think the Pi can control 16. If you want to go for an Arduino later on, control a lot more. But right now, just going for 8 controls. Buying 4 15-amp duplex outlets. Right now, the cheapest you can get is less than $1 per outlet. It's pretty cheap. I went with a little more expensive, and I'll outline those later on. Duplex outlet plates, wall plates. So once you get these wired up and you hooked into your game box, you'll need to cover them up so you don't expose wires like you would on a normal wall. So I purchased those. It's probably a better way to do it. You can probably buy a contractor pack instead of piecemealing these things together. An enclosure. I chose the Husky 26-inch plastic toolbox for about $15. You can buy a bigger one for an extra $5. It may be better if you want to have a little more space to work with. It's fairly compact, my build, but if you want to get a bigger one, that's totally fine. Again, more space, more cost. Scrap wood, you can buy that at any hardware store like Lowe's or Home Depot. About $5 for something to put mounting wood on the bottom of this. Again, you don't have to, but that's what I did. You'll need I bought a 6-pack of number 4 machine screws. Essentially, this is what's going to be used to screw in your switch to the gang box. These little anchors, these little yellow anchors, come in really handy to space out your your relay from your touching the bottom, or perhaps your Pi. And I get to that in the video. You'll need some screws. I bought a 4-pack. Again, these are fairly cheap at your local hardware store. Mounting screws, I purchased this at a department store like Walmart, just regular screws so we can kind of mount the wood inside the box. I bought one extension cord with a ground. Essentially, this grounded extension cord is a little more expensive than the non-grounded, but you'll need this we're going to splice this, and this is what's going to deliver the power to your box. 8 indoor extension cords. So this I buy one of these to go to your Christmas lights, or your one per channel. They're fairly cheap. I'd say about $1.50. I bought them a little less. You'll need 2 micro USB chargers. Now I had a couple sitting around, so I didn't have to worry about purchasing these, but you can purchase these for about $5 again at a department store. Essentially, remember, this is micro USB. You'll need one to charge up your Pi, and you'll need the other one to splice into your relay. You're also going to need to purchase 1 pack of 12 gauge wire connectors. They're also called wire nuts. The color usually is yellow, and you want to make sure that you use the right nuts for the right gauge wire, because some of them are too small. So the yellow color ones are usually for 12 gauge. You only need 3 for this project, but if we're going to expand it, you may need more. But you can get them really expensively, or really cheaply in an assortment pack like this. I saw it for $1.18. You also need to purchase plastic push-in 4-port wire connectors. If you can get higher, if you can purchase 8-port, that would be a lot cleaner than what I had. They didn't offer the 8 ports at my local hardware stores, but I found a pack for $1.98 for 10, so I purchased those. And we'll use them later on in the project. And also electrical tape. You can also get that fairly cheaply. Here's additional stuff. You don't need this. You don't need to purchase this, but it's nice to have. I already had a case for my Pi, so it kind of enclosed all the sensitive electronics. You may want to purchase one. They're about they're less than $10. I purchased a solid state relay. Again, it's whenever you turn on and off lights, it's silent. So I went for paid an extra $10 to make sure it was silent. And I purchased a tamper resistant duplex. Essentially, it's kind of, you don't actually see all the way through, so you can't just poke something in there. It's a little extra money, but I thought it's worth it. I'm going to go ahead and purchase that. Again, if you don't buy the regular noisy 8-port relay and the regular outlets, you don't add this to your cost. This is just an extra $10, and this is like an extra maybe $1 or $2 onto your project's cost. You're also going to need wire strippers. Again, if you have them, you don't need to purchase them. I had a lot of these tools around, so I didn't add it to the cost of my project, and I'm not going to add it to the end cost. Dremel. You don't have to have a Dremel to cut out the hole for your gang box, but here it is. You'll need precision screwdrivers, especially when you're getting down to those electronics. You'll need something to screw in those machine 4 screws. Regular Phillips or flathead screwdrivers, those are fairly cheap. Drill. I use this a lot to screw in instead of using manual screws to screw in stuff. If you don't have it, you can probably stick with the regular Phillips and flathead screws, but you need to drill in holes when you're going to mount the wood. Finally, here's the total cost. You can pause it and take a screenshot or whatever you need to do. This is kind of the sum total of the project. Overall, it costs around $140 to $160 now, not counting the tool costs. You can if you purchase better equipment, you can do it really cheaply on the cheap, getting all cheap materials, and that's totally fine. It still is work, it still is safe, but you can also upgrade as well. If you also have some of these things lying around, like I did with the wire nuts or with the micro USB chargers, you can also save some cost there too. If you have old phones that you threw out, then have the micro USB charger. This concludes the video. Thanks for watching.